So Cooper and I were talking about that last night, and I tried to figure out what else switched besides him asking me, hey, what's your goal out of this duvet day? But it did make me realize that if we can view duvet days and letting people in to take care of us and help support us as gifts instead of tasks, we can also redefine the lens of self-worth even more. Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I am your host, Alex Wolvison. I've been having so much fun going live on Instagram and recording these podcast episodes. Anybody that joins the live session on Instagram gets the behind the scenes. The 15 minutes that it takes for me to hype myself up to actually start recording, the last minute screams to Cooper that I need more caffeine, which I probably don't, but in my heart of hearts, I definitely do. You get to see the dogs trying to get comfortable and ready, since obviously they are the main attraction of this podcast. And we get to kind of chat during it, so people can toss in questions and comments and whatnot, and it's really fun. I'll try to be more consistent on what time I go live so that people can plan to join if they would like. I've been a little willy-nilly on that. I think I changed my note on my Instagram profile going live to record the pod 4 times today. 12 to 12:30 to 1 to 1:30. And here we are, it's 1:45 on Tuesday, and I'm finally recording. It's just been one of those days and weeks. It takes a little bit longer to rev the engine up, which is kind of funny and weird because I've been waking up earlier with more energy, like 7:30-ish, waking up before my alarm, starting the day with a nice little routine again. Kind of feels like July when I was starting to feel a little bit better right after Rituxan. So fingers, toes, crossed, prayers up, universe claiming it, all the things. Feel like we're moving in the right direction, which is super exciting. That was such a tangent. Anyway, if you want to come and be a part of the recording of this podcast, go over to Instagram, follow my personal Instagram account, and join us on the lives on Tuesday afternoons. So, things to catch you guys up on. I have a lot to catch you guys up on. Last we chatted, it was after my South by Southwest week. And I did a lot last week and was quite tired by the end of the week and the weekend. And then instead of just resting on Saturday like maybe I should have, I decided to fill my heart cup and spend the entire day with my niece and nephew, which was a wonderful decision. They are so cute and in these amazing ages where they have big personalities and stories to tell and jokes. My nephew says the funniest shit. I am like crying laughing by the end of it. I keep a running list in my notes app of funny things he said, so when he's older and like graduates from high school or college, I can read them all to him and he can remember how funny he was as a 6-year-old. And when my brother-in-law came to pick them up, I'm sure he could just see it in my eyes, like, oh shit, exhaustion. Which I know is hilarious because I tell my family all the time, I can't wait to be a mom, I can't wait to be a mom. And then I have a full day with my niece and nephew and I'm like, oh my God, how do moms do this? How do dads do this? But I know when I get to be a mom, we're just going to navigate it in a different way. That we'll have high spoon energy output days and then I'll have low spoon rest days and little babies will cuddle with me in bed or they'll go play with dad or something like that. So I know we'll just navigate it in our own way. But for now, I pull out all the stops when I'm with my niece and nephew and just try to soak in all of the time that I can with them. That said, Sunday came around and I was fucking tired. Cooper saw it on my face and I needed to have a full duvet day. And I had a win, my glimmer of this week. I did not feel guilty. I did not feel like a burden. And I enjoyed my duvet day, which happens once in a blue moon. So I'm really excited that I'm starting on this new chapter of being kind to myself. And I can't wait to dive into this week's podcast episode, which is all about how to actually enjoy a duvet day and not feel guilty about it. And also how to communicate it to our families and friends that we need a little bit extra help on those days. The other reason why I'm really focused on duvet days right now is because I know I have to be intentional. I have to play offense with my duvet days. I have been pushing the envelope, as you guys know. I would rather apologize, get a little bit of a flare up and have to pay to play than sit on my couch and wonder, could I do that? What is my new boundary? What is my new limit when I'm starting to feel better? That like second column we talked about in the last week's episode, or in the other week's episode, about kind of the buckets of existing with different symptoms and stages of being chronically ill. In addition to that, I've been really struggling and wrestling with if I should or shouldn't start another immunosuppressant called Cellcept or Myfortic. That was the original plan, was it was going to be Rituxan and Cellcept, Myfortic, taper off prednisone. However, I'm feeling pretty good right now on Rituxan. I've been tapering prednisone. I've been doing okay. Now at 20 milligrams. Woo! And I take IVIG as well. I've been on Myfortic before. It's a great drug. It works really, really well. But it did give me a lot of GI issues, which is why I switched from Cellcept to Myfortic, which has this like casing around it and really helps. And I remember when I came off of Cellcept and was in remission, I felt a lot better. Now, granted, that's probably for like a billion reasons, not just coming off of Cellcept, but I just remember that feeling of like, wow, I noticeably am having less side effects from my meds. So I am apprehensive to add another medication in if I'm already feeling this good. And because I am a curious little bee, I want to see if I can manage on just Rituxan and IVIG alone and not be on prednisone and not be on Myfortic as well. And if that can carry me to remission, if it's paired with very stringent lifestyle and functional health isms. So TBD. So I was getting Rituxan every 6 months. But when I got new insurance at the start of the year, it unfortunately got pushed a month. So it was 7 months, and I got super fucking sick from not getting it on my right schedule. So we like kind of looked back at my symptom diary and journal to see when I was feeling okay and then started to not feel so good in the fall, winter. And it was at the 4-month mark. So I think we're going to dose it every 4 to 5 months. So I need to be intentional about these duvet days. That's why I'm doing this podcast episode this week. Honestly, I'm trying to hold myself accountable to actually schedule them in so I can be proactive about it. But because I am also learning and growing and not listening always to my own advice, I overdid it again on a Monday, like I always do. But it was a great Monday. I started the day at 7:30. I had energy. I was like, yes, my meds are working. Had bone broth before coffee, which made me feel like a fucking god because I listened to like the wellness hack of don't have coffee on an empty stomach. Sat on my PMF mat, did my gratitude journal. Then I Ubered to a meeting, Independence. That felt great. I had a strategy meeting with the Just Media Network. It was really fun. We're talking about some of the shifts I'm making. Then I Ubered home, did some consulting work for the venture capital work that I do. And then I went to my very first support group ever. I went to the Young Adults with Vasculitis Zoom that meets once a month on Mondays. If you are a young adult and would like to join, comment, shoot me a DM. I will help you find the right people to register. It was so much fun. I've never done that before. It was awesome. I loved it. The funniest thing was when I jumped on the Zoom, Teddy, my dog, loves to be main character energy. And so he jumped up on the couch and was kind of standing behind me. Well, he just got a haircut. If you guys have noticed, he's pretty naked mole rat right now. Full direct view of his butthole. And that is how I got to introduce myself to the entire Zoom of young adults with vasculitis, which was super fucking embarrassing. But I laughed because if you don't laugh, you cry. And then I got to go around the hoop and another glimmer that came out of that is that one, I had a friend on the Zoom that had actually told me about this support group. And two, someone knew about my podcast and had watched the clips and some of the episodes and said that they were really excited that I joined because of that. And it was a pinch me moment. It just felt really like, oh, my podcast is getting the reach that I really am praying every single day that it does. So it was surreal to say the least. and also just lovely to connect with other people going through the same disease that I am. That was at 7 p.m. on Monday, and then I did more work and then went on a walk with Cooper at 9 p.m. and then got into bed. So today I booked myself an IV at 9 a.m. It is like doing an oil change for your car, gives you that extra little oomph in your step. It was awesome. And so that is which is a great example of how I'm trying to bake in duvet days, duvet moments into my day-to-day life right now, so I can prove my doctors wrong that I don't need another immunosuppressant. I am going to be managed. My vasculitis is going to be managed. The mixed connective tissue, lupus stuff is going to be managed, all with Rituxan and IVIG and lifestyle switches and functional medicine. I'm committed to it. And I'm going to say it out loud enough times so every little cell in my body hears me that is the goal that we are working at. And I think they listen, truly. So here's to more duvet days and baking in intentional self-care. As you guys know, I love to ask you to comment on these videos every single week this week, and stay tuned to the end of the video because this will make more sense. I want to know what your latest hyperfixation during duvet days or self-care days has been. It can be a book, a movie, a hobby, an activity, whatever. I want to know what has you obsessed right now. And I'll share mine later on during the one brain cell segment at the end of the episode. And housekeeping. First and foremost, thank you guys for sharing and spreading the word of this podcast. It definitely is starting to build up some momentum. We hit over 3,000 subscribers the other week, which is crazy cool to know that we have this community and family that is here for each other. So thank you. And my ask for this week is to just keep sharing it. If you are a part of a support group or a Reddit thread or a Discord channel, pop a link to your favorite episode and help spread the word. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It definitely helps. Like, comment. You guys are awesome. And if you don't want to do any of that, you don't have to. I just appreciate you being here, listening or watching and sitting with me on a Monday afternoon and hanging out. Okay, and since we're talking duvet days this week, I figured why not focus on my favorite activity to do during duvet days, which is luxury skincare at home at a reasonable price. I will say I don't really know a lot about skincare. I am actively in my learning phase right now. However, I have been a guinea pig on myself. I've had the rashes, I've had the face flare-ups, the unhappy skin, so you guys don't have to. I am willing to test it all out for us. And the other reason why I think I can be an authority on this topic is because I do have pretty good skin. I might be chronically ill as fuck and my insides might be so gnarly. My face skin is pretty good. My skin on my face, that sounds so weird. The skin on my face is pretty good. I like to pride myself on having that dewy glow, and I cannot wait to share with you guys how I have figured out the formula to get that. It starts with two things. First and foremost is your water. Water is the foundation for good skincare. I have tried so many different filters, but I landed on what my two holy grail products are. The one I'm going to talk about today is the one in my bathroom sink. I use that for brushing my teeth and washing my face. It is priced reasonably. It is user-friendly to install. It's awesome. It's called Filterbaby. Link in the description below, and I will, of course, as I always do, try to get a discount code for you guys. My second pick of the week is moisturizer, another kind of foundational element. Being chronically ill means you're probably dehydrated, and if you're not using buoy, which is my favorite electrolyte supplement, then you probably need to also have a good facial moisturizer. We're transitioning out of winter, the heavy creams and whatnot, into the summer, which needs to be lighter weight because we don't want to clog our pores with the humidity and heat. And the brand I'm obsessed with right now is called Doré. They make this serum that is amazing. Doré is a French skincare brand. We love the French because they have really, really stringent rules and regulations on what can go into products. They're kind of the gold standard, honestly. So Doré has the serum. It's lightweight, it has no scent, and it's great for sensitive skin. I will also flag, my skin stops responding to things pretty regularly. So I usually have three that do the exact same thing by different brands, and I just switch between them every few days. I call it skin oscillating, and I think it's been working. And if you want to see the other moisturizers that I'm oscillating between, go check out my TikTok. I'm trying to do a deep dive on dewy, glowy skin for the sensitive skin girlies. And yes, Cooper, my husband, who does not have a skin routine by age 30, which is wild to me because he has great skin, he loves the Doré serum. He's been stealing it, so it's also hubby approved. So let's dive into the meat and potatoes. What is a duvet day? What is an intentional duvet day? And how do we finesse? So a duvet day is the chronic illness rebrand of having a resting day. It's so necessary because I think a lot of chronic illness people are pretty type A. We like to push, push, push and try to get everything done and juggle all the balls in the air without regard to the fact that we have less spoons than anyone else, that we have symptoms that we're also managing, and, that full-time job of being chronically sick is quite the burden. So a duvet day is my rebrand of intentional rest. I love a chronic illness rebrand. I think what it does is it shifts our lens from being, gosh, this really sucks, to a kind of a gratitude lens of like, ooh, I get to rest today. I get to not just rest, but have a luxurious self-care day. And for me, that fuels me to keep going. I wake up the next day and I feel like, okay, I'm ready to conquer this next day. I've got things I'm excited to do, not, oh my God, I have to play catch up. I can't believe I rested yesterday. Why did I do that? Blah, blah, blah. I think we all have those different loops that go in our brains. So duvet days basically are the rebrand to keep your symptoms at bay. The new thing I'm trying to do with duvet days is have them be a little bit goal-oriented without making them feel like a to-do list. So what do I mean by that? Cooper was asking me the other day when I had my duvet day on Sunday, what do you feel like you need to rest? What do you feel like you need to manage a little bit right now? Which was really interesting, and it made me think, because not every duvet day needs to take care of, because we don't have to take care of everything in every duvet day. That also would be crazy to do. It's a lot of work to take care of everything. So I told him, well, I need to conserve my energy and kind of rebuild the tank for this next week. And he was like, great, go do that. So instead of doing the self-care, face masks, stuff like that I usually do on a duvet day, or bed rot and just watch endless one brain cell TV shows, which I also usually do, I decided to lay outside in the hammock. It was gorgeous outside. I read a little bit. I did some content creation, and that goal-oriented, and having that duvet day be goal-oriented made me enjoy it even more because I knew what I needed to focus on or what I wanted to fuel. So thanks, St. Cooper, for helping me dive into duvet days even more. And I think it's really difficult to take duvet days as a chronic illness baddie for so many different reasons. I feel like I'm very fortunate because I have St. Cooper, who holds me accountable, reminds me that I am worthy of resting, that rest does not have to be earned, that rest is productive. But if you don't have that in your life, I'm going to repeat everything that he has told me that's helped so that you can have that beautiful wisdom as well. And hopefully that inspires you to take a duvet day because you deserve it. But even though I have Cooper, I do still do these mental gymnastics. The things I struggle with for taking a duvet day are feeling like a burden. Cooper has to then do all of our household things. And on Sundays, that's the day we clean, we do our laundry, we do our dishes, we get our chores done for the week. We get ahead of any family tasks. And since Cooper allowed me to have this full unplugged day, he did everything. Usually, I would be sitting there rotted with guilt, feeling like such a burden that he wasn't just doing all the household things, but was also taking care of me. But I didn't this week, and I will get into why. I can also feel like I'm failing, that if I have to do a duvet day, keyword there, have to do a duvet day, that means my meds aren't working, I'm not trying hard enough, I'm bad at managing my chronic illness. None of those things are true. You don't have to do a duvet day because you failed at something. You get to do a duvet day because your body deserves to be pampered and taken care of, because it's working so much fucking harder than the average person's body. Literally fighting for your life. I can also feel like I'm not carrying my own weight, that I'm now unproductive. The other one is the self-gaslighting that I do. Another one that I do is self-gaslight and say, I'm not sick enough to need a duvet day. I can keep going. That one's pretty psychotic. If you just start listing your symptoms, you'll realize that's a lot that you're carrying, a lot that's on your shoulders, a lot that you are trying to push through on a day-to-day basis. So that kind of self-gaslighting narrative, we've got tools for that too. So when I think of duvet days and actually having them, there's kind of two different paths. There's the path that I used to be on with how I used duvet days and thought about them. And that is my defense. And that is to play defense. I would push the envelope, and that's to play defense. As you guys know, I have been having a medically charged 2025 so far. February, I had Rituxan and IVIG and surgery. And as I've started to feel better from all those things, I keep pushing the envelope because I want to figure out where my new line is. We talked about it a couple weeks ago on the podcast, about those different buckets of being chronically sick and the different phases of life. Since I've been in that place of pushing the envelope, trying to find out my new normal, I have had some high highs and peaks, and then some really low valleys that I've then had to take a step back and recover. And that can sometimes feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, which can then kind of fuel that narrative of resting is failing. It also forces you to really pay attention to your check engine lights in your car, those symptoms that start to whisper in your ear like, hey, slow down, we're not feeling so great, that we all like to ignore until we need to be hospitalized. For me, that's usually brain fog out the wazoo, can't string a sentence together. It's my legs feeling like cement where it gets hard to just move. It's feeling overwhelmed by the most menial tasks, and then just painsomnia, not being able to sleep. Those things all add up, and then you don't need just one duvet day, but maybe an entire duvet week. And you get into the cycle of high highs and low lows, and it's just a fucking roller coaster. And it also can make you feel way less in control of your life and your chronic illness. But this week, on Sunday, Cooper gave me a new unlock for duvet days. And he asked me, hey, what are you focusing on today for your duvet day? What kind of self-care are we doing? And previously, when I was playing defense, that meant duvet days were bed rotting and watching my favorite one brain cell shows. It meant maybe reading if I had the energy. It meant doing my skincare, lots of masks and all of the serums and red lights and my infrared sauna bag by higher dose. Any of that kind of stuff, that was my duvet day. But when he asked me on Sunday what kind of duvet day I was going to have or what I wanted to focus on, I realized I just needed to recharge my energy. I'd also been feeling behind on my content creation, like I was always playing catch up. So on Sunday, I laid in the hammock, and I'm not going to say doom scrolled because it wasn't dooming. It was lovely. I laid on the hammock, scrolled through Instagram, scrolled through TikTok, and let myself get inspired by other people's content to try to fuel my own library of ideas for things I wanted to put out into the world. That duvet day on Sunday wasn't just impactful because I had a goal, but also because it totally shifted how I see duvet days in my brain, I think. Now I'm trying to see them as playing offense. That if I inject duvet days into my normal routine, normal life, can I avoid the check engine lights going on even more? Can I maintain a better homeostasis and not have these high highs and low lows? And will I ultimately feel better And will my self-worth also improve? And will how I view my self-worth improve because I'm allowing myself to use rest as something that is productive, as something that's good and normal and routine? So I'm excited to see how that rebrand and switch is going to impact how I do Duvet Day and the impact Duvet days have on my life. Now, the other huge call out shocking factor was that I didn't struggle with any of those loops in my brain on Sunday. I unapologetically took my Duvet Day head on, enjoyed it, no guilt, didn't feel like a burden, even though Cooper did quite literally everything in our Sunday to-do list: grocery shopping, clean the house, laundry, meal prep for the week, and also took care of me. I was so relieved. It felt like I finally was starting to grasp that I am worthy of taking rest and recuperating. So Cooper and I were talking about that last night, and I tried to figure out what else switched besides him asking me, hey, what's your goal out of this Duvet Day? And it was because he reminded me on Sunday that his love language was to take care of me. And so instead of feeling like Cooper had to do all of these things to help support me on Sunday, it all of a sudden was viewed as Cooper is giving me a gift. And how weird would it be to respond to a gift and say, oh, like, this is really uncomfortable for me. I feel like a burden. Why did you give me this gift? Gaslight myself. No, when you get a gift from a friend, you say thank you and you get excited. You dive into it. So I know I'm lucky that Cooper's love language is taking care of me, but it did make me realize that if we can view Duvet days and letting people in to take care of us and help support us as gifts instead of tasks, we can also redefine the lens of self-worth even more. And the last thing that I want to hit on is how to communicate with others that you need this support. It can feel super uncomfortable to ask for help because our illnesses are unpredictable, our energy levels are unpredictable, and how could an outsider possibly understand how to support us if they don't understand how we live every single day? Well, you don't need to sit down and educate them on everything about living with chronic illness when you have these two amazing analogies. Now, I did not come up with these. I am not that smart. But my Ladies Who Autoimmune friend group chat introduced me to both of these analogies, and I love them because they've really unlocked communicating with my support circle and my friends or my coworkers to a whole new level. The first one is the spoon theory. The first one is the spoon theory, which you might have heard before. You might have seen me talk about it on my social media, but if you have not, I'm about to gift you something that's going to be another up level for your chronic illness life. So the spoon theory basically is a way for us to explain how our energy levels fluctuate so that other people can understand what to expect from us. How it goes is every single day, each person in the world wakes up with a finite number of spoons. You can spend them however you want, but you only have that many to spend in a day. A healthy person has a lot more spoons in their A healthy person wakes up with a lot more spoons than someone with a chronic illness. That's because perhaps things that impact our spoon count are symptoms, medication side effects, disease activity, sleep, our diets, a billion other things probably. And so we start our day with far less spoons. I'll do an example. So let's say Cooper starts the day with 20 spoons and I start the day with 10 spoons. If we both get up, do the exact same activities to get ready for the day, shower, brush our teeth, do our hair, let's pretend like Cooper does his makeup, make breakfast, make coffee, eat, check your emails, gratitude journal, all of those things, Cooper might be down 1 spoon. If I do all those things, I'm down like 5 spoons, maybe even more, depending on my symptoms of that day and all the other variables I just talked about. Then Cooper has the rest of the day with 19 more spoons to spend. He can be kind of willy-nilly. He could go to a happy hour after work. He could go work out, and he probably would still have spoons left over by the end of the day. I, on the other hand, in the scenario, only have 5 spoons left. And I still have a whole workday ahead of me, and maybe I had social plans I wanted to do. Now I have to be incredibly, incredibly particular with how I spend my spoons or use my energy. So when I'm talking to my friends and family, it's really easy for me to say, and they ask me, hey, so when my friends and family ask me, hey, Alex, how are you feeling today? Instead of having to say and feel shitty about having to dump my symptoms on them, I can just say, I'm having a low spoon day instead of, I don't feel good. That makes me feel like I'm not trauma dumping, like I'm not bumming them out, and also gives them a flag of, hey, Alex isn't doing so well today. I'm going to be extra gentle and see how I can support her throughout her day. It is an excellent analogy. We love it. If you would like more information on it, go to my social media. I have breakdowns of spoon theory and how to explain it to others. The second analogy that I love is the stoplight analogy. And this one's a little bit different. This is more current status, how you doing? It doesn't really take account for all of your symptoms or the fluctuation of energy in a day or anything like that. But what it does do is it allows you to say, hey, I'm green light, I'm good to go. Don't worry about it, don't ask questions, I know my body. Or yellow light, hey, check engine lights are going off in my car right now. I might not be doing a great job of conserving energy, but I want you to know that that's going on. SOS, please help me. Or red light, cancel all my plans. I'm having a duvet day, maybe a duvet week. Both of those analogies give you the permission to not share, or not overly share, I should say, about what it's like living with chronic illness, but it does allow you to communicate your needs to others. So I'd love to know if using these analogies helps you explain to others what they can expect out of you in a day, and if that is helpful for you. But because we're entering the end of the show and I've been talking for about an hour now, it is time to transition to our one brain cell segment. The one brain cell part of the show is one of my new favorite segments because 1, it allows me to wrap this show super well, and 2, my brain is usually mashed potatoes by the end of this thing, so it's a nice little bookend. And as y'all know, I like to lean in. And on those duvet days, more often than not, I am doing a one brain cell TV show or movie binge session. My one of this week is Drive to Survive on Netflix. It is such a good show for so many reasons. 1, Bravo level drama. Netflix has aced making these elite male athletes perform like a housewife. It is phenomenal television. 2nd, they're not too bad to look at. Apparently making millions of dollars and driving really fast. You can have super good skincare. I would love to know what they're using so that we can use that too. But TBH, it's probably the cost of IVIG, so maybe one day a girl can dream. And lastly, my husband loves it. So it is a show we can watch together that is one brain cell. For background context also of why I like this show, I'm from Indiana, and I grew up going to the Indy 500 every year. Obviously, Indy 5 is not the same as Formula 1. If you are into the driving space and world, people are very one camp or the other. I like both. I'm a zebra in so many different ways. So before we even got into Drive to Survive, I had this foundational love of the racing world. But when Drive to Survive came out, I was on a huge amount of prednisone, and I would have these late night energy bursts and get hyperfixated on some sort of topic and do a deep dive scroll on Instagram and TikTok and just absorb a ton of information. One of my hyperfixations was Formula 1. So even though Cooper probably watches the races more than I do, I know way more stuff about Formula 1 because I have spent hundreds of hours probably at this point scrolling and learning. And when you're in pain and you're up late scrolling, you can just go into a deep spiral of despair. So you might as well lean into the hyperfixation, allow yourself to learn something cool and interesting. It is a very healthy and good distraction. If you are into Formula 1, shoot me a DM. We have a fantasy league, and I would love for you guys to come join us. We forgot to fill out our bracket for the first race of the year, so us, all starting from ground zero. Let me know if you want to join. Happy to send you the invite to our fantasy F1 league. And on that note, my brain is now at half a brain cell and I need to go have some duvet, unplug, and relax time and let this thing start to recharge again. So I hope my rambling around duvet days and justifying them and making them work for you and finding ways to see them differently is helpful. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this episode and if you start any new habits from it. Let me know how it goes. As always, I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. It truly feels like we're sitting on the couch together and just chatting. So thanks for your company. It's been lovely. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.